Hello, this is my final project for Intercultural Communications. I want to start by saying I am in a very bare dorm room, so I'm sorry if it's like echoey at all. I am all moved out except for a few things because I only have one night left in here, so ignore the background. And also I am not very tech savvy, so I have my PowerPoint on my iPad here, and I'm hoping you can see it, but I don't really know how to edit myself in with the PowerPoint, so I hope you can see it well. So my topic for the final project is intercultural communication in healthcare. And the title of my presentation is Listening is Healing, Using Ethnographic Techniques to Improve Cross-Cultural Medical Care. So I want to start by introducing myself. My name is Emily. I go to Johnson University. I'm repping the Johnson Royals softball because I play softball here. I am pursuing a degree in biology, and I plan to go to PA school to be a physician's assistant, which is a medical provider. And I currently work as an emergency room tech. I've been working as an ER tech for 2 years now. I got my CNA license in high school. So this topic is important to me because I currently work in healthcare, and I'm pursuing a career as a medical provider. So I kind of work at the bottom of the food chain, I guess you could say, right now, because I'm a CNA, so I work below nurses, and I'm pursuing to work as a provider. So I've kind of seen both ends of it, and I think that ethnography can give us a great way of getting better patient care outcomes. So what is ethnography? Ethnography is the in-depth study of people and cultures through direct observation and interaction. We've talked about this a lot in this class, but how does this apply to healthcare? So in the context of healthcare, ethnography helps professionals understand a patient's cultural background, worldview, and lived experience, and this can lead to more empathetic and more effective care. So how is healthcare connected to anthropology? The reason this topic connects to anthropology is because it uses ethnographic methods, which are at the heart of how anthropologists study different cultures. In anthropology, specifically medical anthropology, ethnography means taking time to really listen to people and try and understand how they see the world. Especially in healthcare, understanding how they view health, illness, healing, because in Western medicine, we view things a lot differently than the rest of the world. So in this case, we're looking at how doctors and healthcare workers can use these anthropological skills when working with patients from different cultural backgrounds. So instead of just focusing in on symptoms and kind of looking at the patient as a group of lab values and numbers and jumping to a diagnosis, I'm kind of encouraging to step back and view patients as a whole, so we can uncover patients' beliefs, values, and cultural context when treating them. So this approach is anthropological because it's not just about data. It's about seeing the patient as a whole, like I just said. But these things are shaped by community, culture, religion, past experiences, and these things all play a key role in cultural relativism, which I have on here. I'm sorry if you can't read it. Cultural relativism is the belief that nobody's culture, no one culture's way of thinking is better than another's. So when healthcare workers use these ideas from anthropology, they're doing what anthropologists do, which is learning and understanding others on their own terms and using that understanding to build trust and improve outcomes, specifically patient outcomes. So why does this matter? I want to give you a real world example of how anthropology would have been helpful. This is something that actually happened to me when I was working in the ER. So say you have a patient presenting to the ER with a GI bleed and they are refusing blood products, which is obviously the first line of treatment for somebody who's internally bleeding. You want to give them blood because they're losing a lot of their fluid in their body. So say you have a doctor who's just focused on treating them, and they recommend this treatment, and the patient refuses, and the doctor just is like, well, this patient is not compliant, so you can sign this AMA form and leave because you're not listening to what we're saying. So, and unfortunately this does happen a lot. So this is not what I am promoting. This is not the ethnographic way of treating a patient. So when I had this patient, the reason that he would not accept blood products is because he was a Jehovah's Witness. And according to their faith, they cannot take in blood because their religion prohibits it. So taking the ethnographic approach, if you don't do that, the doctor's going to be frustrated and the patient is going to feel pressured and disrespected. And obviously this mistrust between the two can cause a patient walking away and not getting the care that they need. But if the doctor takes the ethnographic approach and sits down and says, okay, what are your beliefs? Tell me the parameters of your religion and explain to me what I can do to help you. This is what we call ethnographic interviewing, which is like really listening to the patient's cultural background. And this makes all the difference in the world, just taking the time to ask. And these kind of misunderstandings happen all the time, more than we realize, and it's unfortunate, but it does happen, especially in diverse communities. And this is why ethnographic interviewing is very important, and it helps avoid the unnecessary conflict and bad patient outcomes. So this is exactly why cultural understanding in medicine isn't just a nicety, it's essential to providing ethical and effective care to patients of all backgrounds. Come on. There it goes. Sorry. So what is ethnographic interviewing? Ethnographic interviewing is qualitative research method rooted in anthropology, and it emphasizes understanding individuals' experiences, beliefs, and values through in-depth, open-ended conversations. This approach is particularly beneficial in healthcare, where cultural nuances significantly influence patient care. So things that are encouraged to ethnographic interviewing are things like open-ended questions, to allow the patient to give you the information on their personal narrative, active listening. Listen. That's all you have to do. The patient will tell you all you need to know if you just sit and listen and ask. And cultural sensitivity. It's important to approach each conversation with the patient with respect and an open mind, and ready to take in whatever they tell you. And these ideas for the ethnographic interviewing are all about building rapport with your patient, right? So it's important to obviously notice, I feel like you can't see that, ask about beliefs, notice body language, notice nonverbal cues, and understanding the patient's story, not just their symptoms. So, like I said, a lot of people, including me, that work in the emergency room, we sometimes look at people as just patients and not, or just as symptoms, not patients. So I've even find myself referring to a patient as the guy in room 3, not by their name. So that's just an example of not being personable to your patient. And this is something that we need to change in healthcare. So I also included some field research this was a little study done that just kind of proves that ethnography can really benefit outcomes in healthcare. So one compelling case study involved a large urban hospital, and this hospital was really struggling with readmission rates for chronic heart failure patients. So basically, field ethnographers went and actually shadowed patients in their own homes and observed their kind of daily routines and what they were dealing with on a regular basis. And just got insight on their culture and how they live. And these insights led to the development of a personalized care program, which incorporated remote monitoring and regular video check-ins with nurses, which is something that's a lot more common now. We call it telehealth. And by doing this, it resulted in a 30% reduction in readmissions within 6 months. So this is a big jump in patient outcomes, just done by taking time to look at the patient's lives and understand why things are happening that are happening. And then one more example from this study came from a rural healthcare network that used ethnographic research to address low vaccination rates in an elderly population. So they did the same thing. Ethnographers went in and kind of saw the individual patients and checked in and understood why they were not wanting to get vaccinated. And by doing this, they created another successful program, a vaccination program, that increased immunization rates by 45% in just 1 year. So these are just some examples of how ethnography aids in patient care outcomes. And there is a ton of research on this, and there are so many examples of how taking the time to listen have greatly improved for patients. So here are some key takeaways for ethnography in healthcare. One, ethnography offers deep contextual understanding of patient experiences. So once again, going back to just asking the why, taking time to create a deeper understanding of why your patient is there and why your patient needs specific individual care. Two, has led to measurable improvements. Going back to the field research that I just quoted, like the vaccination and the hospital readmission numbers, there are a lot of ways that ethnography has improved, and even not in field research, just in a regular daily basis, like me working in the hospital, working in the ER, me sitting down with a patient and understanding why they think a certain way, or why or how their culture runs, just to provide them with better care. This just works out better for everybody. Culturally informed care leads to better patient outcomes. Once again, going back to patient outcomes, because in healthcare, it always comes back to patient outcomes, right? Whenever we, as staff, work together on improving things, it's always for the better for our patients. And finally, helps uncover hidden barriers to care and inform better interventions. Going back to my Jehovah's Witness fella who did not want blood products. This was obviously something that we didn't know, and just by taking the time to ask and understand, we found out what we can do to better take care of him, that is in a way that was specified for his personal needs. So I wanted to include this quote that I found. In medicine, listening is just as important as diagnosing. I feel like I sound like a broken record through this entire presentation, but it really is. Listening to your patient gives you the answers. This guy, Sir William Osler, who had this quote, he was a Canadian doctor, who said that basically your patient comes in and they tell you your symptoms, and if you just sit and listen, they give you the diagnosis themselves. So in conclusion, ethnography can greatly improve healthcare if we take it seriously and apply it in ways that will help our patients. So that is my finished presentation. There's my works cited. I may try and edit this in so you can see it better, but yeah, I'm a healthcare girl, women in STEM. Thanks, I've enjoyed this class a lot. I'm a science brain person and I don't get to think like anthropologically very often, so thank you. And I've never taken a class at Franklin, but I would take another one because of this class. So, bye!